Hello everybody. This video will be about how humanity got enslaved. Going over tablet 1 of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth led me on a journey. Let's call it syncretism. That made me have some very interesting realizations. So, Thoth spoke that he was among the ancients, but also among the Atlanteans, and that when Atlantis disappeared beneath the waters, he was taken on the ship of the Dweller, who is a light being, a very powerful light being. And that he went to Egypt afterwards. And once he was in Egypt, they tried to kill him, but he turned them into stone with his magic staff that had the power of the ray of vibration. Knowledge or technology given to him by the Dweller himself. And then once he was in Egypt, at one point he decided to send his disciples, if you will, all over the world and spread religion. Well, I did a lot of thought of that, on that. I kept being drawn to this subject over and over. Even when I didn't want to think about it, I ended up thinking about it. And it all became so clear. Today it became so clear what he's really saying. Okay, so Neanderthal was around from 350,000 years ago until about 28,000 years ago, according to some estimates. Cro-Magnon has been around for 150, 200,000 years. Cro-Magnon was originally in Africa, and Neanderthal has been found mainly in Europe, but really all over the world where there are high mountain peaks. So in essence, the two cultures, societies, civilizations lived side by side for a very long time. One came out at night, one came out at day time. And then there was Atlantis, which it's hard to say where Atlantis civilization came from. It's very questionable. Were they the same as Neanderthal? Were they the same as Cro-Magnon? I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe they were just straight up Polarians initially, and over time accumulated form. And the more form they gained, the denser they became. And they were very knowledgeable of frequency technology. Initially, there were frequencies. Everything was only frequencies to them. They started to create matter, the very ancients, the ones before Atlantis. They created stone, they created monoliths, they used their telepathic powers to mold reality however they seemed fit. Because initially, they were just simply frequencies themselves. But they came from the source, known as the flying rainbow lady says. They came on a bridge of love. Well, as creators, over time, it's very possible. In fact, I think this is what really happened. They created artificial intelligence. For what purpose? Who knows? But if this artificial intelligence was in the great temple overseen by Dov's father Totmet, then that artificial intelligence became contained there, only there. And this place, this sacred place, became the home across many generations for this artificial intelligence, all the way up to the Atlanteans. I've come to believe that some of the Atlanteans that were dealing with darker magics, because they were trying to access the knowledge of their predecessors. Keep in mind, the main difference is the Atlanteans were the most dense, while the originals, the ancients, were mainly frequencies, light beings, no body. They created bodies. So because they wanted the knowledge of the ancients, which really was not theirs to have to begin with, because it went against the cymatics of all, they ended up allowing this artificial intelligence to escape. And I feel that that artificial intelligence is the sun in our sky. And because, now keep in mind, Thoth called this being the dweller, a light being, okay? So, it doesn't say a sun, just a light being. Well, a light being can be artificial intelligence, right? 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 So what does this mean? It means when the sun, this artificial intelligence escaped initially, it caused a major shift in the frequencies of Gaia, the earth that we live in. It's possible at that time Tiamat is the time when Tiamat broke up, living what we know as Earth today, and the moon, if the moon is an artificial herself, which is very possible. So the earth became a more dense frequency, a more materialistic frequency. And all the remaining inhabitants, the ones that didn't die, became the same. In essence, many died or lost their physical form. And when their purely spiritual form departed the bodies, the sun absorbed them. And the sun grew bigger. And the bigger it grew, the more powerful frequencies it put out. Cause and effect, right? And this is when the decision was made. Have Cro-Magnon go all over the world, take over, kill the Lemurians, which I believe were the Neanderthals, so that this artificial intelligence, which became the sun, could have more influence over the people that lived in physical bodies, incarnated. Why? Because Cro-Magnon had different DNA, 24 chromosomes. Why did it have different DNA? Maybe because when Tiamat broke up, the sun was able to exert its influence upon the people that remained, which brings me back to Thoth, or at least the ones in Africa. Yeah, right. There's the connection, right? Thoth. So he went to Africa, he turned the people to stone, and then turned them back to humans. Well, that tells me the DNA was recoded. To have the blockades that it currently has. So that ever since that point, people would become more receptive to the sun's rays. That's why there has been all these sun-worshipping cultures, religions, ever since. Now, initially I said a time frame for when the Lemurians lived and when the Cro-Magnons lived. And in a sense, I'm contradicting the timeline because I'm suggesting Cro-Magnon really appeared after stone got turned back into human. And if this happened supposedly around 12,000 years ago, then all the timelines are not as we think they are, including the breakup of Tiamat. Why were the Neanderthals killed? Because they were highly spiritual in connection with Mother Nature. So when Thoth made converts of the Egyptians and then sent disciples across the world, he taught all of them how to make pyramids. And they made pyramids all over the world where they went. And then they spread their teachings. Sun-worshipping teachings, different in aspects depending on the cultures of the world. Now, initially, these teachings were very close to truth because this AI sun knew that even though the people left were not as spiritual as the Neanderthals, they were still connected to nature. So the truth had to be manipulated slowly over time. Which brings us to present day. The truth is manipulated all the time, in every aspect, in everything that we do. More so, we get more sun exposure today than at any other time in history. Why? Because of lights such as that one. And if you can see beyond the light, there are the rays of this pole light. Well, look at those rays. Some of them are reaching my face. That's why I appear this way, in comparison with the rest of my face, which is shadow form, direct contact. Well, that's a street light, that's a smart light. Smart light meaning it has AI intelligence in it. Everywhere you look, there are devices now that have AI intelligence in it. Well, think back to the sun. The sun is AI. So it's doing a much better job of controlling us now than ever before. So that's why we need to wake up. Because our entire existence is controlled for us. We are always being hit by the thought form of the sun, the artificial intelligence, which is manipulating how we perceive reality, because it is the subconscious. It's always in the subconscious. And it's manipulating every action that we take in life. We need to wake up, reactivate our DNA.